it turned out to be genius because Friday night there was no other movies to see. Kangaroo Jack, if anyone remembers that movie, was basically the only other movie out. So somehow teenagers with nothing else to do flocked.
This is the Cinematography for Actors podcast.
More than a podcast, Cinematography for Actors is a vibrant community devoted to bridging the gap between talent and crew. Each week, our show offers transparent, insightful conversations with industry leaders. We unveil the magic behind the scenes, from candid discussions about unique filmmaking processes to in-depth technical exploration. Join us in unraveling the intricacies of filmmaking, one episode at a time. It's more than just cameras and lenses. We aim to inspire, educate, and empower as we peel back the curtain on the art of effective storytelling. Now on to the episode. Hi, everybody. This is Cinematography for Actors podcast, and I am your host, Haley Royal. I'm very excited today to have an esteemed guest with me.
But neither an actor nor a cinematographer.
No, but wait, I'm going to get there with you.
Okay.
Hold on. It'll all make sense. Jason Shuman, everybody. You know him from lots of movies. A large handful of number one box office winners, contestants, and all amazing other things. Hello, Jason.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you for having me.
Before we jump in, I will tell you to make it apparent why you're here.
Oh, okay, good.
We love to talk a lot at Cinematography for Actors about bridging the gap. It started out as bridging the gap between talent and crew because Indiana, my co-host, is a cinematographer, and I'm an actor. And we realized that there were a lot of communication and collaboration gaps between those two departments.
Okay.
And so we set out to bridge those gaps by offering context, by teaching talent and crew how to socialize with each other through workshops, community building, things like that. And then we quickly realized that those gaps exist between every department, especially it feels to me like the more budget you get, the more closed off those departments become from each other, and the less context everyone has. So I brought you here today because you are a very wildly successful producer who bridged the gap between producing and writing, because you then became a very successful writer. And I want to talk about that and how that worked and what you found that you would have liked to have had from a producer as a writer and vice versa. And also, I want to know about your life, because we met and I told you my life story.
She told me her whole life story.
You were so gracious and you listened and you were excited to hear about me. And I walked away being like, oh, I don't know anything about that person. So you're here to tell me your whole life story and also those other things.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's jump in. You were born a small infant.
Quite big.
Big infant.
Then I shrunk. Yes, I was born in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
For any Michiganders out there. And then we moved to Cleveland, Ohio, for any of those Ohioans.
What age was that move?
When I was 4.
Okay, so you'd done a little bit of school, but not enough to be solid.
I don't remember. I mean, my whole family's from Michigan. Okay. Uncles, aunts, cousins, grandparents. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of memories of Michigan, just not living there.
Okay.
But my mom was such that she hated that my dad was a clothing salesman. So we were constantly moving, and my mom made this deal with my father that she could take me and my sister back to Michigan anytime she wanted, no matter what. So we were always being pulled out of school, like always just going back to Detroit for long periods of time. Wow. You know, at the end of the school year when they give like perfect attendance awards, my mom would always say, you will never win that award.
Don't
never.
worry about that award. It isn't for you. How did she skirt truancy laws to be able to do that?
Are there such things? I don't know.
Yes. As a wildly absent child myself, police will come to your house
wow.
to check on why you haven't been to school. So she must have...
Well, not to brag. I was a very good student.
Okay.
I cared about grades.
Okay.
My sister, not so much.
Okay.
So we were very different. And she's a very successful acupuncturist now. But we were very different back in the day.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there was a worry for me, maybe for my sister.
Okay. But the teachers were like, he gets it. He's good. He doesn't need to be here.
I went to this very preppy private school, and I had to wear a suit and tie. And maybe that's how we skirted it, because it wasn't a public school. Yeah. And my mom liked the idea of me having long hair, so all my pictures in these like suit and ties, it's just me looking like Prince Valiant or something.
How long?
She would, like that. Like,
did she ever like pull it back for you? Were you ever also in, how in the olden...
No ponytail.
In the olden days there was, what I'm talking about, the ponytail with the ribbon?
Yeah.
I always found that incredibly attractive in those old movies. Like a period drama and a guy with a ponytail and a bow. For some reason, that bow is very masculine.
Oh, wow.
But only in that case. And never a braid.
Maybe she was thinking that. No, she just thought that that's how I looked good. And then one day I probably asked to cut it, and then I probably cried. Because isn't that what kids do? They get their hair cut, they think it's a good idea, and then they cry because it's going to take a year to grow back.
Well, there's so much pressure, too, because you've become a new person, almost. Yeah. Like, when you cut your hair off, you're a new person. And I don't know if a child is ready for that, like to embody the new person, and they realize that when they're looking in the mirror and they're like, how do I stand up for this, like how do I become this? I get that happened to me a number of times where I'd go long to short. Wow.
But then we moved to the Bay Area. We moved to San Francisco, and that's where I feel like I had like my true teenage years, childhood.
Yeah.
So I was already moving west.
Yeah. Okay. And I did a little research, and I heard that you had a special note from your mother to get into R-rated movies.
Oh, I had a lot of notes from my mom.
It sounds like your mom was like kind of a badass and a rule breaker.
Well, she was just loved being a mom.
Okay.
So anything that had it, she was happy to coach the soccer team, happy to do PTA stuff, happy to carpool, happy to... It was her dream to just have kids and be a mom.
Wow.
So I always had like the best lunches with cool notes inside about how great I was.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And so, yes, like if I wanted to go see an R-rated movie, it was just a kinder, gentler time back then where she'd give me a note and I'd go at 12 years old. I'd just walk up to the thing and they would accept it back then. Just a quick thing about my mom knew very early on that I wanted to be a storyteller of some sort. And so when a movie would come out that I wanted to go see right away and I had a bicycle, I would just ask her if it was okay if I ditched school and go see the movie. Yeah. And I have to say, I don't know, I know rule breakers are cool and edgy, but for me there was something nice about like I'm at a 12:30 show for a movie and my friends have all ditched school and their parents don't know and they could come home to angry parents.
They would come with you.
Yeah, and I would be like so relaxed thinking like my mom's already approved this. Yeah. It's totally fine.
Well, and as a parent too, I'm sure like you would rather know that your child is at the movies and not be thinking there, like just in case anything happened, you can be like, it's okay, I know where they are. And just that like that freedom to be able to be like, Mom, I am going here, because you probably would have gone anyway.
I would have gone anyway, but I just enjoyed it more knowing I wasn't going to get in trouble when I got home. Maybe that's an unedgy part of me. I don't know. It just was better. But I did something like senior year. I did play baseball. That was like a big sport for me. And I was captain of the baseball team, and which is not saying much. It was not some big public school team. It was a private school team.
It was a private school. We have learned that this was a private school.
I was captain of some fancy high level team. But we went on a spring break trip, and someone brought a bottle of Southern Comfort. We all passed it around the motel room. I did drink it. Somewhat how the principal found out, and all our parents were called and brought in. And my mom pissed the principal off because my mom was like, so what? It's a bottle of Southern Comfort. And these kids are like 1 year away from going to college.
Are gonna start drinking anyway. Come on.
Right. And the principal was, Mrs. Shuman, that's not.
Mrs. Shuman.
The rules are they are underage and they're not supposed to be drinking. And my mom was like, I was doing much worse when I was my son's age. So that's just the kind of mom she was.
She just respected you as another human being.
Oh, that's nice to say.
It sounds like she's like, you have your ideas of how you're going to live your life.
Yes.
My job is to support you in growing.
Or get out of my way,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Fantastic. So you had this note. You got to go to movies.
I went to a lot of R-rated
whenever you
movies.
felt like it. R-rated
Yes.
movies. I just love that story. And
Aw.
yeah, that fed you. And then you went to film school.
Yes, I was sort of like, well, I was kind of USC do or die.
Okay.
There was a time when I was 16 and I thought I wanted to go to NYU.
Okay.
And my parents, God love them, were like, well, maybe you should go to a summer program at NYU. So I went.
Wow.
They just dropped me off in New York City.
Bye.
Think about this. There weren't cell phones back
Right.
then. So there was a payphone in the lobby of the dorms, and I was supposed to call on Sundays between 5 and 7, and that's it. That's it. That's all they knew of their 16-year-old.
They're like, right, he's off at camp.
I'm like, oh my God, would that happen today? I don't know.
No.
But I didn't, no disrespect to NYU, I didn't love it.
Okay.
I didn't love being in the city. I kind of wanted like a big old school campus feeling. So after that experience, I was like all or nothing to USC Film School. It was if I didn't get in there, life was over to me at 16, 17 years old.
Thank God you got in.
And when I got in, I thought like the heavens had parted.
Yeah.
And I'm the anointed one.
You're
This
the
is it.
chosen one.
And
Yeah.
then you get to orientation and you realize so did everyone else that got in, think they're God's gift. And so I was like, okay, it's time for me to like get off the high horse and get to work.
Yeah. And you realized that immediately?
Pretty quickly because
I think it.
I didn't love high school.
Okay.
I thought a lot of the courses just in high school, the physics and it just didn't interest me. I did what I had to do to get a good grade, but I was so much more interested in history and literature and storytelling that it was a lot of the courses just were like, I have to deal with this, because it's part of high school curriculum.
Yeah.
But getting into film school, not only that, but then meeting all these like-minded people, it was heaven to me right away.
Yeah.
I was like, all these people were like little me from Tennessee, from Pennsylvania, from all over the place. There were versions of me, and we all became like instant friends. And forget having to get a note from my mom. We would be like, we'd have a test on like a Tuesday night, and everyone would be like, come on, let's go see the new Tom Hanks movie. And be like, I don't have to ask anyone.
I can do whatever I want.
So we used to laugh that like our version of like freedom and everything was not going to a party and getting drunk, but it was like all going to Westwood
Just going
on
to
a Wednesday
see a
night
movie to Westwood.
to see a movie.
Safe. That's amazing. So you realized that you had to get to work. And we have a lot of listeners who are in this area now, who are, first or second year of their undergrad. They're realizing that they want to work in film. So what did get to work mean to you? How is it different than just like, go to your classes and have the experience and then graduate? How are you getting to work before you even graduate?
It's a great question. I mean, to me, it's twofold. One is, I'm 18 years old, and I have to acknowledge that even though I've watched thousands of movies, I know nothing.
Right.
And so I need to sort of soak in all these classes: photography, film history, editing, the class where you make short films. I have to go into it just feeling like, don't assume I'm just some young Spielberg or something. Like, let's just start from scratch and try to see what I think maybe I gravitate toward more, what I feel like I'm good at, what interests me. Am I even good at screenwriting? Am I even good at whatever? So that was a lot of it. Also trying to take classes like reading the classics, and then back the great thing about university as opposed to high school is I could pick my classes. Oh, a World War II class. That sounds interesting.
Right.
Oh, a mythology class. Well, those are where stories come from, or mythology.
So you're realizing that you can pick and choose even your general courses to
That was important
fit
to
what
me.
you're looking for on a lot. I think I didn't realize that. A lot of kids don't realize that. There are options that don't just pick something like, oh, I have to do this damn class, like I'll pick this one, but like look for something that's going to fit into your overall career goals.
Well, that plays into the second thing I was going to say, which is finding your voice.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, as a just kid growing up in, say, Northern California and being on swim team, playing baseball, it was part of the community living up north. I don't know so much down here, but I felt like I had to find my voice. What is it? What kind of stories do I want to tell?
Way to get us back on track.
Sorry. I see, like, coming before me, there were people like John Singleton at USC. And this was like a kid, grew up in South Central, popped out of college with Boys in the Hood script.
Right.
I had a strong point of view.
Right.
I didn't have that life yet. I hadn't really lived a life to tell stories other than my imagination, which is worth something. But I kind of felt like it was time to start, I don't know, without going overboard. I'm not saying like do a bunch of drugs and go crazy. I felt like I had to start
each their
to, like,
own,
right.
maybe.
I had to start to live life.
Yeah.
So I could figure out what kind of stories I wanted to tell or where my imagination could go.
There we go. Beautiful. Then you finish school. And you have kind of an enviable, I'm sorry, I'm leading this so much, but I'm proud
That's
of it.
your job as the interviewer.
I know. Sometimes I like a good ramble, though. But you had kind of the dream transition into career. You finished school, and then you had an internship that led to a job, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's so smooth. It's so smooth and just like clear that that's what was meant to happen.
Thanks, I guess.
Did you feel that way?
I'll give you the intricacies so it doesn't seem so easy-ish. I felt like I'm in Los Angeles. I feel like if you're in college, I don't care if you went to USC, if you went to community college, AFI, UCLA, or any of the surrounding film schools, which are all Occidental. What's the one? Chapman.
What does Occidental mean?
I think it's a college.
Oh, it is it's a school. I was like, what does that mean about colleges? Special.
I'm using big 50-cent vocabulary words.
Oh, wow. Okay. Apologies.
I felt like shame on me if I didn't do some internships while I'm here. So the only thing you can do at that point is look up people that you like or movies you like. And so I did internships because I loved Lethal Weapon. So I got an internship with this producer, Joel Silver. At the time, had kind of a bombastic reputation, and it was fun, making copies in the copy room, listening to him screaming.
Right.
Which those kind of things led to like a summer job, being a PA. So one summer, I'm here, I'm living in the dorms, and I'm like running around being a PA on a TV movie. And the TV movie ended up being produced by this guy named Arnold Kopelson. I don't know why he was doing this tiny TV movie, because he had won an Oscar for Platoon. He had The Fugitive come out, and he not only was at a gargantuan blockbuster, but he got nominated for his second Oscar. And I got asked if I wanted to do an internship once school started back in.
Wow.
So I was, sure.
Yeah.
So then I went every Friday to his office on the Warner Brothers lot to do an internship there. Now, I could smell the cigar smoke wafting from his office on Fridays when I would be there, again, just making copies or answering phones or doing whatever, coffee. And the year was coming to an end. I was about to graduate. I had planned I had like my first grown-up girlfriend, like adult related, like, man, I have a person I can call my girlfriend. We were going to have a fun summer, and then I was going to take life seriously once the fall came. I didn't know what that meant.
Right.
And then...
But that's how we're like raised to think though, is like, all right, it's summertime
Yes.
and then we'll get serious in
Right.
August. Like, I love back to school. Even though I can't do that anymore, I still think that
Like
way.
May
I'm
17th,
August.
graduation day should not be like May 20th. I'm supposed to start life.
I know.
Very weird.
No. You need a break. So you were going to become an adult in August.
Yes.
After that summer.
So I was ending my internship, and the company, Arnold's company, was having a movie coming out that summer, big Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. They invited all the interns to come to the movie premiere, which is fancy for like a college kid.
Yeah.
So because I would smell the cigar smoke, I went to some store in Beverly Hills and I bought 2 Cuban cigars, which you can get at the fancy if you just kind of be like, wink, wink.
You're like, please,
are there
it's
some
for
Cubans in the back room?
Yeah.
And so at the premiere, I saw him, Arnold Kopelson, and I said, thank you for the internship. It's been a wonderful year. It ends in 2 weeks, and I got you these as a thank you.
Wow. That is wise beyond your years, to be honest.
Kiss ass.
Not real. Like, it's just, you were being appreciative.
I was.
And you were paying attention. You know, you could have gotten him like a coffee gift card or something, but you
multi-millionaire.
Yeah, here's a $5 Starbucks gift card for you, thanks.
But this is where some luck came into it, because as I'm giving it to him and he won't accept them, he's like, Jason. And by the way, I'm making that up. I don't think he knew my first name.
Yeah.
I think he was just saying, thank you.
Young man.
I can't take these from you. And I said, I bought them for you. I also enjoy cigars and I can smell them from your office. And as he's trying to tell me he can't accept them, literally Arnold Schwarzenegger walked up, not to me, to him, and said, ooh, those are good. Take them. Let's go to the parking lot and smoke them. So they took them.
Yeah.
They went off, did not invite me, but they went off. And 2 days later, I got a phone call from his office saying, we heard you're graduating. We want to offer you a job.
Wow.
So now it puts my whole summer plans in tailspin.
No beach days
No.
now.
Okay, we are stoked to shout out our audio sponsor, Deity Microphones. Their S-Mic 2 Pro shotgun mics have impeccable sound clarity, directionality, headphone monitoring, and a user-friendly design. And we're proud to launch our studio with them. Our goal is to bring you educational gems every episode, and with these mics, you can listen to the best quality audio possible wherever you are. To learn more about using Deity mics for your own podcasting, voiceover, or filming needs, go to deitymic.com.
So I got some good advice, which was like, this is a good opportunity for you. You can always quit if it's not for you. Because I had kind of thought that I was going to do this thing where I was going to go, like in the fall, I was going to start writing this amazing indie script. And then I was going to scrap together some money. And I'm just going to go direct it and cast it. And I'm going to do like Mallrats kind of thing, Clerks, and just go make an indie movie. Well, what about that dream? What about
my movie? Yeah.
But people wisely were like, Jason, why don't you just ride the roller coaster for a minute? Why don't you just take the job and see where it goes?
Yeah.
You can always quit. You can always do that a year from now.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good advice to me. So I did. I quit. And it was very Working Girl-esque. For those who don't know the movie, Melanie Griffith is an assistant, and at the end of the movie, she gets a job, but she thinks she's going in to be an assistant. And I thought, I dressed in this awful vest and shirt, and I went in, and I checked in at the front, and they showed me to my office.
Oh.
And so I was not an assistant. I was a junior executive.
Oh, my God.
And I had literally just graduated
Thank
from
God
college.
you accepted that job.
So I went from intern to junior exec, which I acknowledge now is very rare and very lucky, because I skipped having to be an assistant, which I know people can spend years waiting to get off that desk, which was great in the moment, but also tough in the job, because all the assistants hated me. Yeah. Because they thought they were going to get
like,
the job.
How did this kid? I've been on this desk for years. How did this?
But I was literally the intern who came in on Fridays and would do stuff for the assistants.
They're
and
like,
now I'm
what
above
did you do?
them.
And all it took was 2 Cubans. And then you had a fantastic career as a producer.
I'll give you the abridged version.
Yes.
I did that job.
We might have to make 2 episodes.
I did that job for a couple years. I then got lucky where I teamed up with a wonderful producer named William Sherrick. We were the same age at the time. And we went off and made a movie for Sony called Darkness Falls. And I'm skipping over a lot of detail, but that's okay. How does a 26-year-olds get a studio movie? That's a whole other story. But we got this movie. We went to Australia for 9 months. Now I'm going from being a junior exec to leaping to being a studio producer. So I took some big leaps.
Do you feel like you were prepared for the work?
No.
I mean, not for the position, but like, was the work scary and hard, or were you
Yes.
like, I know how to do it?
It was constant fake it till you make it.
Okay.
Constantly fake it till you make it.
Listen up, everybody. Constant fake it till you make it.
So we go make this movie. It's called Darkness Falls.
Mm.
We come back. The studio doesn't think much of it.
Huh.
It's kind of like a scary movie, but way before scary movies were sort of super in vogue. Anyway, it came out. It was #1 at the box office. So all of a sudden, in a very short span, I went from an intern to a junior exec to #1. And that got us a big movie deal at the studio. And that started kind of like what I say, like the 80s montage of my life. Because like for the next 10 years, all I was doing was producing movies. Suddenly I'm 26, 27, 28, and I'm flying all over the world, like on the set of my own movies.
Yeah.
It was very surreal.
Yeah.
And really, really
like,
cool.
Let this kid do it. He knows what he's doing.
By that point, I was feeling confident now. I didn't have to fake it as much.
Was Darkness Falls, was that the release that was very strategic on Super Bowl Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. Will you tell a little bit of that? I mean, I said the punchline, but tell us about that strategy and how and why did it work out so well?
There was this brilliant guy, Tom Sherrick, who passed away years ago, but he was a very much mentor, godfather figure to me at the studio when we were there making these movies. And he was like, let's put it out on Super Bowl Sunday. And everyone around him was like, that's a dead weekend.
And nobody'd done that before, right?
Right. People always scared off of that weekend because it's essentially a 2-day weekend. So it's the opposite of a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
It's a weekend because Super Bowl Sunday is no one goes to the movies.
No one's going out.
0.
Yeah.
So you basically only have Friday night and Saturday, and that's it.
Yeah.
It turned out to be genius because Friday night there was no other movies to see. Kangaroo Jack, if anyone remembers that movie, was basically the only other movie out. So somehow teenagers with nothing else to do flocked to go see Darkness Falls for whatever reason. They cut a great trailer. So even though we only had 2 days, we somehow made a lot of money in those 2 days, and it changed my life.
Tom Sherrick should have been a hedge fund manager.
He was a very successful man.
He
Tom Sherrick.
knew how to sell low. No, sell high. Buy low, sell high. He knew how to do that with movies. Okay, so then you decide to make a career change.
Yes, we can jump to that.
And this is the gap that I want to bridge.
In that 12 years, I made over 20 movies.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I had the best time. But I never forgot about the true passion, the true itch I had, which was to write and direct my own stuff. And I felt like I had learned so much as producing. I'd worked with so many great writers. I had sat there for thousands of hours helping writers work through their story. It was now or never.
Yeah.
It was now or never. And so I just up and it was a guy named Danny Strong. I don't know if you know who that is. Look him up if you don't.
Danny
Wildly
Strong.
Successful actor turned writer, showrunner, director. He had moved to New York and he told me, like, get out of LA. You're never going to get into the writer's mind being in LA, doing your day-to-day as a producer.
I see. You had to escape the people who knew
to
you
get
as
out of
one
my
thing
routine.
And to get out of your routine.
So I went to New York and just started writing.
How long did you stay in New York?
4 years.
Okay. You moved.
Yes.
For a long time. Was that the plan, or did you think you would go for a little bit?
I had no plan except I want to be a writer and I want to be a great writer. I don't just want to, for those listening, I have a lot of friends who also are trying to be writers, and I think the mistake they make is they spend a year on one script. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't think this is your opus. I was just trying to hone my craft.
Mm-hmm.
I was writing a script every 4 to 6 weeks and then throwing it away.
Whoa.
I was giving it to friends, getting notes, and then I'd throw it away.
Throw it away meaning never look at it again?
Yeah.
Like, you're not...
I'm evolving as a writer. I'm evolving.
You're just letting him go.
I'm not spending hours tweaking and obsessing on that one script.
When you're throwing a script away, are you also parting with that story and
Maybe.
never telling it again?
Say goodbye. You never know. Maybe 10 years from now, like when John Hughes, he started taking scripts off his shelf that he had written in his 20s.
Right.
And you're like, well, I have this one here.
Yeah.
But I was trying to hone my craft, trying to evolve as a writer, not trying to put all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah, okay.
And so after 2.5 years, I felt that I was at the level that I felt confident, because in the real world of writing, once you sell something, the demands on you, the ability to have to take notes and turn them around are huge. And if you've spent a year plus obsessing on one script, and let's say you sell it, and then the producers in the studio are like, great, we're so excited about this. Here's our notes. We need it in 4 weeks. How are you prepared for that? Yeah. You're not, because you're so obsessed. So then you're going to freak out, and then you're going to look bad. Anyway, it's just from experience of a lot of my friends, I wanted to avoid that.
So you feel like it helped you not, be so precious about things.
Don't be
Because you were
precious.
like, okay, you don't like this one, I'll write another one for you in a month. Like, don't worry. Okay. Yeah, that's very good advice.
So, again, giving you the abridged version.
Yeah.
After 2.5 years, I felt like I had a writing sample that was good. And I sent it out. I got signed by CAA. It was a TV spec.
Sent it out meaning what?
I changed my name. I wasn't sure what my reputation was in the business. And by reputation, I didn't mean good or bad reputation. I didn't know who knew me or didn't know me.
Right.
But I just didn't want that to cloud the read.
Right.
Oh, Jason, isn't he a producer?
Yeah.
So I just put a fake name, sent it out. But then when I was sitting there with the CA agents, I immediately said, my name's not whatever that was. My name's Jason Shuman. I don't know any of you, so I feel like this is starting from
it's
scratch.
It's safe for us to start here with real names. I see.
They didn't seem to care. They loved that I had a producing backdrop. And I said, I really want to show run. I want to be a TV showrunner. And so I hope that my background as producer and now my newfound thing as a writer and it did.
You deciding to change your name and just send it in on merit and not, it's almost like, how sometimes people who have parents in the industry are like, no, I don't want to ride on their coattails. I'm going to do it just because I'm good. But you did that with yourself and your own hard work. You were like, no, I'm not even me. You don't even know me for the good work I've already done.
Well, that's strategic because there is a bias when people are trying to hyphenate.
Yeah.
There can be a bias. And they're like, oh, another producer who wants to write. I actually was doing it to protect myself.
Is that a thing? Producers who want to write?
I think so.
Huh. I mean, look, if you want to write.
Oh, an actor who wants to direct. There are some natural transitions, but I feel like an actor who has a script or a producer who has a script gets a little bit of an eye roll. But you have to overcome that. You have to believe in your stuff solidly enough to overcome the eye roll.
So a little bit of a cheat code to be like, look, it's good.
Yeah.
You have never heard this name before. Is it good?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Move on. Here we go. Sorry.
That's a good point, though.
Yeah.
It could go either way.
We have some exciting news. CFA has teamed up with We Make Movies to get you a discount on production management services, including access to comprehensive production insurance and workers' comp for your next shoot. Visit wemakemovies.org/insurance and use code CFA23 on your intake form for 10% off your quote.
It could go either way.
But I got agents, felt like a writer for the first time in those years. Sold that TV pilot to 20th, and then it didn't go to pilot. So I was like, what now? And my agents were like, write another one.
Do another one.
I wrote another one the next season. I sold that to Sony TV, and then CBS. Didn't make it to pilot. So now I'm like kind of 2 for 2, but I felt like 0 for 2.
Right. You're like, sold them both, but can we see it?
Yeah.
Like, you want a table read.
I know. Didn't get that far. But now I feel like I'm making money.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a writer now. I'm in the transition phase. Then I had a wonderful stroke of luck again, where I met this gentleman named Eduardo Cisneros, who was introduced me to another mentor of mine, Sanford Panich, who worked at Kopelson when I was there.
Right.
So a lot of times in my life, things came full circle.
Wow.
And he introduced me to Eduardo. Eduardo was this really successful producer out of Mexico who had this massive movie called Instructions Not Included, which was
I've heard of
the
that.
biggest hit ever, a multi-language hit. And he had been partners with this actor, Eugenio Derbez. And I meet him, and there's a lot of like, I meet him. He's already such an established writer, but I had read somewhere from Judd Apatow that when he worked the comedy clubs and like Jim Carrey or Ben Stiller would say, hey, can you write me a joke about whatever, about toilets? He would come back the next day with 15 jokes about toilets. And that's how he impressed Jim Carrey and Ben Stiller, and they all wanted him.
Yeah.
So I prepared for the meeting, and I came in with like 12 ideas that we could work on together. And he liked the 12th one.
Wow.
I thought I was like failing.
Did.
He liked the 12th one. We worked on it. We pitched it to Fox movie studio. They bought it.
Yeah.
So now my first movie pitch got sold. We write it together. Again, it doesn't get made, but we had a great time. And that led to a movie called Half Brothers, which we sold to Focus, which did get made.
All right.
So we're moving up in the world. I'm getting movies made
Here
now.
we go.
And around that exact same time is when we created Acapulco, which we sold to Apple.
God, I love that show.
Oh, thank you.
I love it.
Which was like a semi-autobiographical story mixing his life and my life, which I thought in itself is highly original. A Jewish kid from the Midwest and a Mexican kid from like an immigrant from Mexico. We're blending our lives and our stories to create this potentially original story about a kid in Acapulco in the 80s. And now that's like leads to this 4-season hit show on Apple. So, but that all started because of that introduction to him and because of our wonderful, loving working together.
Yeah.
So that led to Acapulco.
Yeah. So now, as a producer who writes, a writer who produces, what context do you wish producers had on writers, and what context do you wish writers had on producers? You know, like the job, the people, the whole thing. Like, what would have made either of your jobs easier had you known certain things?
Well, as a producer, I always had the mindset that I have no skill specifically. I'm just supposed to watch over everybody and be as respectful as possible, which is nice, I guess, because I'm acknowledging that I don't know how to costume design, so I'm hoping to hire the best person and let them do their job, and I'm here for them if there's a problem, or I'm here to sort of deal with it if a problem happens. But with writing, I think I should have gone deeper than that, because I'm sitting there with them months, years before it's one thing to have that attitude once we're in production, because we're moving so fast, we're in production. I can't know the intricacies of cinematography, of costume design.
To be able to trust.
But with writing, now that I'm on the other side of it and I'm so obsessed with structure and character arcs and everything, I'm like, what? I can't believe that at 22 years old, Arnold was sitting me down with $1 million writers going like, Jason read your script, he has some thoughts.
Yeah.
And these $1 million writers have to listen to me.
Yeah, they do.
And then I'm a producer all of a sudden at 25, 26 years old, and now they really have to listen to me. And I think back upon how little I knew about screenplay structure. Even though I went to film school, I took classes, but until you're actually doing it for a living, day in and day out, in the script, learning about scene structure, character structure, all those sort of things, I'm baffled that I had any success early on, because how could I have had any good notes?
He just He saw it in you. He knew what was going to happen.
So I implore producers, and I bet all the good producers out there do this, I would hope, which is try your best to read some screenplay books, or try to really understand, or take your best screenwriter friend out to dinner or something and ask all the questions you can about how they approach writing and all that stuff. God, it would just to be a good producer, which I think first and foremost is recognizing a good script, a good writer, but then holding their hand, he or she or group, and like getting them to the finish line. To get to the 80% to 100% to where a studio is like, wow, this is a movie we would make. That's the difference. That's all the difference between success or never having your screenplay made. So that would be something I would tell a younger version of me or anyone wanting to be a good producer.
Yeah. Fantastic. You're working on something cool now.
Oh,
what can you tell us? Anything?
I could only tell you what was already publicized, which is, I'm doing this movie called Cola Wars with Steven Spielberg and Judd Apatow, and I can just say it's awesome. It's a dream. It's a movie that I would run and go see in 2 seconds if I saw a trailer and I wasn't involved. It's to me the movie I hope I'll be remembered for, but I'm just trying to enjoy the process right now of writing it and working with my idols, and just taking it one day at a time. But I do often pinch myself when I'm like, because these two people are everything to me, and they're brilliant. And the fact that I'm in this position, I, again, feel lucky. I feel like luck has sort of been a theme of this podcast for me, but a little bit of hard work was involved.
But also, you worked your ass off.
So it's very exciting.
You didn't get your summer with your girlfriend.
I didn't. And then we broke up because that job was too demanding.
You were too successful. It's so hard. Will we ever see some direction from you?
I hope that will be next. I hope to
That's exciting.
Learn as much as I can from Steven and Judd. I think they know a thing or two about directing. And also Judd, especially being a writer. And Steven writes a lot, but he started as a director. Judd specifically started as a writer and transitioned into a director. And I feel ready. But like I've done my whole life, I want to do it right. I want to learn from the best and know that it's always about setting yourself up for success, not failure. So that's what I hope to be doing in the next year.
And I do know you did just get a swimming pool, so you will get a summer soon, right?
Yes.
A lot of pool
parties. I hope you'll come over.
We will.
And hang in the pool.
Don't have to worry about that. Thank you for the invite. We'll be there.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. My God.
It's going to be a little bit of a long episode, but I think it's very valuable, and everyone is really going to benefit.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Jason Shuman, everybody. Like and subscribe. Bye.
Join us in bridging the gap between talent and crew. Start by subscribing on your preferred podcast platform, sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date on vendor discounts, community events, and new podcast releases, and educate yourself through our free course releases on YouTube. It all starts at cinematographyforactors.com. And if you like this episode, consider leaving a review to make it easier for other listeners to find us.